2024 was the year that broke me. I felt lost, I felt sad, I felt defeated. But I promised myself I wasn't going to stay that way. This is how 2024, the worst year of my life, broke me, and how I was able to rebuild myself for 2025. This is my 5,000 subscriber special. Thank you all so much. Well, I know what you're all thinking. Red, why the overdramatic intro, and why was 2024 such a terrible year for you? Well, to tell you that, we have to go back to January 2024. It was a normal year at first. I was going into grade 12 and feeling alright, but on the holiday prior, my good friend Lithium and I had beef with a group of people from my school. Each of us had a few fights with those people, and we had come out victorious, but the beef between our groups never really ended. Lithium was my closest friend, but we didn't go to the same school. So, as soon as school started, the beef continued. Eventually, it resulted in an altercation breaking out between myself and their group leader. I walked past the group as he said something to me, and I told him to get out of my face and walked off. But I then heard him laughing at me and mocking me with his friends. See, me years ago would have ignored this. I was used to it. I was the cringe kid with the YouTube channel who was easy to make fun of. But things had changed. I had won a few fights, I started training boxing, and I got a bit bigger and more athletic. So I walked back and confronted him, and a shoving match ensued. The guy was about 6'2" and 200 pounds, and at the time I was about 6'1" and 140 pounds. After a few pushes, he shoved me to the ground, and that's when I knew it was serious. I got back up, got him on a lock, and kneed him in the balls. I would have loved to give him a punch, but I knew if I did something like that, I would have likely ended up suspended. Very soon, the teachers intervened, and I laughed as we were separated, and my friend pulled me away as the guy left the area. I thought that'd be the end of it. However, in my next class, I was pulled out, and it was clear he had snitched. That day, I was nearly suspended. As I left the office, I thought to myself, what am I doing? Earlier in high school, I was elected as a student leader, a prestige achievement, and look at me now. I was nearly suspended for fighting. Boxing had helped me get stronger and gain confidence, but that confidence quickly turned into arrogance. And that isn't boxing's fault and what boxing teaches you at all. It was my fault. I let the ego get to my head. So, the first thing I did when I left the office was approach the guy and his whole group and apologize to him. He apologized back and we both accepted each other's apologies and we had a mutual respect, and I assumed that was the end of it. But once again, it was just the beginning. Not long after, this other dude who was mates with him approached me and started talking trash. I ignored him as I wanted to disassociate myself with this type of activity as I was going to the most important year of my life. If I didn't do well on my grades, I wouldn't make it to university, and that would make myself and my family very disappointed. After the situation, I approached my friend group, expecting to be comforted, but surprisingly, it was the opposite. One of my closest friends at the time mocked me for being on the ground, and the others just ignored me completely. I was shocked, and to be honest, I felt a bit betrayed. After the break, my other friend dapped up everyone, and when I put my hand out, I was shocked as he completely ignored me and walked away. After an already pretty terrible day, I was upset to see my own friends not being there for me. The next day, I sat with them still, and at the end of the break, I walked to my next class. But then, I heard something. A group of people started chanting out, red leader," mocking me in front of everyone. This made me feel like I felt a few years ago. Weak, defenseless. I was walking with my friends and they completely ignored me. And I started crying and tried to hide it. I felt alone. That afternoon, I knew something had to change. I had a few other great friends that I would always play video games with, and they meant a lot to me. I did some thinking and realized who was really there for me and who wasn't. Friends are some of the most important people in your life as they can help build you up or break you down. The friends I reached out to were Bon, Hurricane, and Green. I reached out to them and asked if I could sit with them from now on, and luckily for me, they welcomed me with open arms. Things started improving as I felt comforted. Lithium was also there for me, and of course, so was my little brother Ethan. I messaged Lithium a lot and told him about my issues, and he helped me like he did countless times in the past. I truly owe a lot of my development and confidence to him. A few months later, things simmered down. I ended up fighting one of those guys mocking me, and after that, they proceeded to leave me alone, so I beat his ass a little bit. The year started to improve and I studied hard and had big goals. However, that was when I started to get a bit too comfortable and I started acting wrong. I had an altercation with this guy being racist towards me, and it kind of brought up my angriest side a bit. Whenever someone treated me poorly, my first instinct was to fight, and looking back on it, I'm really not happy with that. I also wanted my friends to fight as well, as they had all had fights in the past and had said they wanted to fight as well. One of my friends had previously said a lot of racist things towards black people, and I'm part black obviously. So when I asked him to fight a guy that he had previously said a lot of trash to and wanted to fight in the past, he declined. And in response, I said a lot of things that I shouldn't have said. Although we said a lot of bad and hurtful things, I should have never responded so irrationally and harshly. This resulted in me slowly losing connection with those friends who helped me in the past. Even though racism should never be said or condoned, looking back on it, I should have told them to stop being racist and being more mature about the situation, and just brushed off the fight, as realistically, the fight didn't need to happen, didn't need to be organized at all. So, after that, I lost my friends and I was once again alone. Eventually, I finished high school, but it felt wrong. I never thought I'd be graduating this way, but luckily, my family and Lithium were there to support me. I thought all the trouble was over, and although I was sad I lost my friends, I was ready to move on to the next stage of my life. However, it wasn't going to be sunshine and rainbows. In fact, it was going to be quite the opposite. Earlier in the year, I shaved my head to advocate and raise money for leukemia support, research, and care. One of my beloved family members, who was like a second parent to me, was going through cancer, and not long after, they passed away. It was the first time I'd lost someone in my life that I loved so dearly, and it broke my family and I. For the next 6 months of my life, I was a shadow of myself. I lost all motivation and will to live. I was quiet, lost, and broken. Another part that kind of hurt at the time was the fact that none of my friends at the time came messaging me to ask me if I'm okay, and I guess I was kind of alone. But after a few months of suffering, I had to realize that they wouldn't want me to go on like this. I had to pick myself up, and I had to fix my mistakes. Those mistakes are what left me so alone in the first place. I started going back to the gym, and I started training myself to be stronger, not to show others, but for myself. I tried to turn my arrogance into humbleness. I reached out to my friends and apologized for my outlandish actions, hoping they'd be gracious enough to forgive me. And thanks to the history of us being close friends, and even at one point, me being one of their best friends, they were able to forgive me, and we're still working towards being good friends again, and I hope they know how much I appreciate their friendship. They know who they are watching this, and yeah, I appreciate you guys. So, I wanted to change and be better to everyone. And although I have a few more stories of bad stuff happening where I was in a car learning to drive and I nearly died because, the car brake didn't work and nearly fell onto the highway and got ran over, but a few troubles like that. Life is about pushing through your troubles and struggles and trying to get out of them. And although those struggles and heartbreak will hurt you, will also improve you physically and mentally. So, that brings me to present day, July 2025. I'd be lying if I said I was 100%, but I'm working on it. I've reconnected with some old friends, and that includes ones in the past I thought I would never talk to again. They've made an effort for me in the past, and now I want to make an effort for them, and try to give them the best version of me that they deserve. I want to thank you all so much for sitting through this video, and also for 5,000 subscribers. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber, and you guys are making my dream come true. I also stream on Twitch now, so if you guys want to check me out, I'll put it right at the top of the screen, and we're working our way towards 500 followers. Thank you all so much again, and Red Leader, out. Have an amazing day.